The following podcast has some fruity language. Sorry, my bad. So take care of who's listening around you. Kia ora, everybody. You're listening to It's Personal with me, Anika Moa.
I fucking hate seeing injustice. I fucking hate when people with power exploit people with no power. I fucking hate that. So that's why I keep on making angry music. And
But your last record's not angry. The one that you've got out now.
No, it's not.
Today my guest is John Toogood, the lively and energetic, beautiful man. We talk about music and his latest record where he moves into a different genre, a little bit gentler and softer. Listen out. How old are you now?
53.
Fuck.
Yeah, man.
53?
Yeah, 53. Which is why you see me going out for walks, because I got to look after myself, you know?
And you've got beautiful grey hair at the top. I love
Look,
it.
check
It's so beautiful.
It's all gone streaky, and it's like it's weird. It's like there's.
It's like you've been to the what are they called? The cutting places?
Yeah, but that's
Hairdressers.
just naturally what it's done.
Beautiful.
I don't know what happened there.
That's beautiful. Because if you cut it short, it would all be grey.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is relaxing.
Choice.
I've got holes in my pants so you can see my undies.
Aww.
But I don't care.
Aww.
I don't care.
Well, I got all new clothes because I just releasing a solo record, and I as part of the budget for the photo shoot, I got them to buy me a whole bunch of clothes.
Did you?
Fuck
How much was the budget?
2,000? I actually don't know. I don't know.
You're still a diva. I love it.
No, I'm just an opportunist.
What I want to talk about first of all, we're going to get to your album, is Jonathan. What's your middle name?
Charles
Toogood.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like in Aotearoa as a young Johnny?
Very loving immigrant family. I'm a first generation Kiwi.
Yeah.
And my parents both, those £10 poms that came over in the 50s.
Like my mum.
They came over on the Canberra, I think that was the boat. And they met here, but they weren't together, and then they both separately went back to London. Yeah. And because it didn't work out for them first time around, and then they met in London and went, well, I like you, and they went, wicked, let's get married, and then came back to New Zealand and started a family.
Where did they settle?
In Whanganui-a-Tara in Wellington.
Kia ora.
And yeah, born in Wellington Public Hospital, and we had, basically we're brought up around people that weren't really blood relatives, but we called auntie and uncle because they were the people that came over on the boats with them, and I had a really loving, it was like one income. My dad was he was a cabinet maker, carpenter. So we were pretty poor, but I never realised we were poor until I met sort of Richie Riches at high school and stuff like that. Went, right. Okay, people live in a totally different way. Okay. Yeah.
Was it sports? Did you play sports?
Yeah, I did play sports, and my first love was music. That was from 2 years old. My earliest memories was one was the lolly jar because that had sugar in it, and the other one was my parents' record player. The ones where they had the speaker built in the front. Yeah. And I used to just watch the needle hit the bit of plastic and go, it's magic, man.
It is magic, though. I still think about it.
Yeah,
how do they get the music from the
from the needle, from the plastic, and then down the tone arm, and then out the speaker?
But how do they do it?
Man, I loved it so much. I used to rest my teeth on the black vinyl edge, and my teeth went all black, and my mum used to go, whoa, what's going on? And it was just because I was just watching records and going, I want to know how they do that, I want to know that.
Is that the first music idea you had?
You want
to be a musician?
Not that I wanted to be a musician, but I wanted to know how that magic trick was done, and I loved music. They had Beatles' Hard Day's Night, which I loved, and then I was lucky enough to have an older brother and sister that had lots of good records and some shit ones, but I got to choose, which is choice. But then sport came around I think around 11, and then I played cricket, and then I was the captain of the Wellington, primary school's cricket team. I used to play against Chris Cairns as a Canterbury captain, and my team was Danny Haimona, who was my best friend, who became Damn Native, hip hop guy, and Mark Ellis, who's now Charlie's
rugby,
Juice guy, and
rugby
was an All
league
Black and
oh, wow.
Warrior and stuff. Yeah. So it was pretty star studded, but we were like 12, 13 years
You
old.
weren't stars by then.
We weren't stars.
Well,
No.
how did you turn from cricket to rock?
I met Tom Larkin, the drummer of Shihad, at high school, who found out that I played guitar because I got lessons from 7 till 11.
Yeah.
But that was all classical guitar and on a 3/4 size nylon string.
From classical guitar to rock.
Yeah. Well, no, because on one of our trips home to London to see when I was 7 years old, I watched my uncle Charlie play guitar in a room with me, and I was like, oh, I thought that only like superhumans played music. I didn't realise that normal humans could play music.
Yeah.
So that was like, whoa, get me one of those. And so my parents, I think they borrowed some money off of some friends and got me a 3/4 size nylon string acoustic, which I thrashed, man. I thrashed it.
So you know all the classics then, Autumn Leaves and classical stuff and La Bamba and Black Magic Woman.
All I wanted to know was Beatles songs, and I wanted to know but I had to learn it because that was the only guitar tutor we found in Wellington. Basically, was a guy who was doing classical guitar.
And so how did you form? So you formed Shihad at high school?
Wellington High School.
Did you went through to Rockquest?
No, it was before Rockquest was even a thing.
Oh my gosh!
So that started about a year or two after we left high school.
So how do you go from loving the Beatles? Because you know when you love a band, you usually tend to write like them.
Yeah. Well, my first album was actually Bob Marley Legend, which I still
Kia ora.
listen to now because
Kia ora.
I think that's still like you can put that on whether you're angry, sad, happy, whatever, and it suits all moods. But how do I get from Beatles to metal?
What I'm trying to say is you've got the pop element in Shihad.
Yeah.
So you've got that Beatles pop element.
Yeah, I suppose
but
so.
Then you went, okay, well, let's do some heavy metal shit.
Well, yeah, because when I met Tom, he gave me a copy of AC/DC's Highway to Hell and Metallica's Ride the Lightning, and I was like, whoa, this music's so confrontational and exciting, basically, because I'm 15 years old, and it made me feel like I was part of a gang, and like I knew a secret that, you know, that no one else knew, and Metallica was sort of cool because they looked like normal people as well.
The guitarist especially.
Well, yeah, they just like jeans, t-shirt, and they didn't look too dissimilar from me and my mates. So, but they made this big sound, and I was like, "Ooh, if they can do it, we can do it." So I liked that. But I also liked my sister, who was into like punk, like so she liked Pill and Sex Pistols and Stiff Little Fingers, which I also loved. She said to me once, "If you ever get into heavy metal, you're not my brother." And I think just the rebel in me made me go, "Well, I'm now going to do that because someone told me not to do it."
So you got into heavy metal.
Yeah.
You started Shihad.
Yeah.
How would you describe Shihad's music? Because I say rock, heavy metal.
Yeah. Well, originally it was speed metal, like, because all we wanted to do was be Metallica, because that was our band, you know, like we wanted to literally be them, you know. So how do you do that? You just like copy them and play, and rehearse and rehearse. Man, we were so nerdy. It was just like we were like, we weren't getting invited to any parties, so we had plenty of time.
Yeah.
So we literally just spent all weekend. Luckily, we had a music teacher at Wellington High School who would give us a key, and we'd just like rehearse and rehearse and rehearse.
Do you remember your first ever Shihad gig?
Yep, it was at the church on Taranaki Street in
St. Paul.
Yeah, the big one, you know, and it was like we got invited down, and I think we were doing a cover of Megadeth's cover of the Sex Pistols song "Anarchy in the UK," and this happened.
At a church.
Yeah, in a church, and the first line is "I am an Antichrist," and then the PA blew up, and it was like, this
God
is
was
awesome.
watching.
God was watching.
He was like, nah,
He
you're
was
not
like, nah, you can't do that.
No, you're not.
This church. So that was our first gig, and then our second gig was supporting a skinhead punk band at the Clarendon Tavern, which is also on Taranaki Street and corner of Taranaki Street and Courtney Place. It's now called Molly Malone's, I think.
Yep.
And that was... The thing is, we just wanted to play, and everyone just looked at us because we were 17. I think they used to hide us behind the bar because we were too young to be there. But I think some band pulled out at the last minute, so they needed somebody, and they called us because we dropped a demo tape off at the thing.
Aww.
And
we really started grassroots.
Yeah, totally, man. We went to every bar, and everyone was like, "Get out of here!" Except for the Clarendon Tavern. They said, "Come," and we had it. We took our moment, and we were tight. We were nerdy, but we were tight. So all the punks that were there went, "Oh, we'll come back and see these guys." Yeah.
Was that your dream as a 17-year-old? Was that your dream to have this successful band that went all over the world and became fame goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But was that your dream, to be successful in Shihad?
We wanted to be world class good. That was basically it. It was like, how do we get to be as tight as those bands that we love from America or from Britain, or how do you do that? Oh, well, just all we could work out was, well, we seem to get better the more we rehearse. Mm-hmm. But then we started playing shows, and it was like, oh, like one show's worth about 10 rehearsals, mm-hmm. as far as, getting better, because you learn, it's all damage control. It's all like, what happens when your guitar goes out of tune? What happens when your amp starts working? It's like, how do you deal with that situation? That doesn't happen in a rehearsal space, but it happens live, and that's where we were learning. But then we started running out of room to play, because Aotearoa's small, mm-hmm. and we were like, yeah, but we're not as good as those international bands yet, so we'll just keep going. So it was like, we'll just have to keep on going.
Move
overseas,
to Australia.
Or,
that's usually what bands do, eh?
Yeah, because we ran out of places to play, and we needed to play more to get that tightness that... we were lucky enough to play... We supported AC/DC at the Athletic Park on the Razor's Edge tour, and watched these guys work for 3 hours, and went, oh, right, we need to put in so much more work.
Yeah.
And it was like... It was, we just wanted... And then one of the bands we toured with when we first went to Australia was Midnight Oil, and again it was like, oh, right, so there's a passion element that I'm not getting yet, and it's like, it was all about how do we get better,
So you learned from all these bands that you were supporting.
Totally, man. We're lucky.
But once you get world class, because you are world class,
where
to from there?
Well, then it became about songwriting, I think. It's like, how do I actually write some good songs? Mm-hmm. Like, because at first, Shihad was more about ammunition for big PAs to create mosh pits and stage diving, and how do we move a crowd. It wasn't about how do I articulate what I'm feeling, or make sense of the world through song. It was more like, I just need some words to go boom and make people bounce, like... So
when you started articulating how you were feeling, which I think I know when that time was, how did it feel to get the feels from the crowd?
Well, I think if we're thinking about the same album, it's the Fish album, which is really when I started going, right, I'm going back to listening to the Beatles, because through some weird thing we'd seen Oasis at Roskilde Festival when we were on tour for the Killjoy record, and all of a sudden it was like, me and Phil were like, whoa, this band's guitars are louder than AC/DC, but they're like pop. What's going on? I want a bit of that,
Yeah.
And then it was like, but listening to them made me go, that sounds like the Beatles. So I went back to the records that I was brought up on, and it made me listen to the Beatles. And then it was like, cool. Then it was all about the song. And then I think we probably went a little bit too far into song rather than sonics on that record, looking back on it, for our established audience, which was used to us being a wall of power and tight rhythm and music to mosh to. And then so I think we lost half our audience. Like, we went from playing 2 nights at the power station to 1 half full, but we noticed all of a sudden females were coming along as well as boys, and then it was like, oh, everyone's behaving better. Mm-hmm. There's not so many fights. It's like, because no one wants to look like a dick in front of the girls, which is great. Yeah. Which we liked, so, and then we slowly built it back up. Yeah, we slowly built it back up. But I think we needed to make a pop record, so that meant that we could do, other things later on.
But you're such a, you're a household name. And I remember when, the Twin Towers happened, and then you guys thought that Shihad sounded too much like Jihad, which is Americans against all Muslims, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So you changed your name, went to America, tried to make it in America. What happened all there?
We changed our name while we were in America. So
Yeah.
we were getting like hounded by this, this record company that would sign to it, this management company that we signed to. It was like, wow, we can't get you put on the radio with that name, and
But it's Shihad, not Jihad.
Yeah, but we'd taken it from being young stone bogans watching the first David Lynch's Dune movie, which was released in the 80s, and not realizing that David Lynch had taken it from a lot of inspiration from the Quran and from Arabic culture.
Mm-hmm.
So the name at the battle, I think one of the Bene Gesserit witches in that movie said, the final battle, the Shihad. And we were like, whoa, that's a wicked name for a speed metal band. And it's sort of like apocalyptic, end of world battle. So great. Not realizing it's actually taken from the Arabic term jihad, which is struggle, which has been co-opted by more sort of political and fanatical versions and strains of Islam. And in fact, the September the 11th was perpetrated by a particularly full-on version of fundamentalist Islam.
Yeah.
So they used that term, and it was like, whoa, all of a sudden, that's the name of our band too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we totally misspelled it, and then, because I remember when the day we were watching that Dune movie and going, yeah, wicked name for a band, and then totally misspelling it, Shihad, and using the Motorhead font to write it on the back of my jean jacket.
Yeah.
And which became the poster and the name of the band. And it was just like, it's just like one of those ideas that you have when you're 17.
You've had so much to do with the Muslim world and the Twin Towers and having to change your name, and then you meet a beautiful
Sudanese woman. Yeah.
Who you fall in love with. But
Yeah.
I know that you had problems, not problems, but you were really, what's the word? When you don't believe in any religion.
Yes, I was a staunch humanist atheist.
Atheist.
Yeah, I was a staunch humanist atheist.
You believed in what you wanted to believe in, which was not God or religion or anything like that.
Well, me and my artistic mates, and maybe it's the generation I'm from, were basically, we'd sort of like seen the evangelical, the evangelical sort of American thing at late night TV, going, well, this doesn't look very spiritual to us. Mm-hmm. This looks like a grift or a business.
Yep.
Which I think it is. It's a business model. It's not spiritual. And we thought, why do we need God to make us be good to other people when really we should
just be
basically
good to other people.
be good to other people based on how would we like to be treated ourselves.
Yeah.
So empathy, right? So, and I thought, but I think I'd lumped everybody who was religious or religion into that sort of late night evangelical televangelist sort of version. Yeah. And so I went, it's a business. It's got nothing to do with spirituality. I don't want anything to do with it. And then I met Dana, and all that talk about, because we talked a big game, me and my atheist mates, about how we should be good to people and blah, blah, blah. But we were struggling artists who never had any money. So any time we got paid, it's like we were holding on fucking tight to that money. And I ain't going to give it to anybody else because I don't know the next time I'm going to get paid. So I didn't really live the game I was talking, whereas when I met Dana, she would literally have $10 left in her pocket and she would give it to the person that was hungry on the street and didn't give a shit about that because that money's not hers anyway, because she's been brought up to believe that all money and all things are all gifts from Allah, and you're going to be asked when you die, what did you do with what I gave you?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you want to marry her? She says, well, if you want to be my lover, you got to convert to Islam. She did that, eh?
She did. And I was like, initially I was like, fuck that. Why should I? What about you converting to what I believe?
How did that go down?
She was like, fuck that. And it was so interesting. Like for 3 years, we literally were at polar opposites. She would point at a tree and go, how can you tell me there's no God? And I'd point at the same tree and go, how can you tell me there's a God? Literally we're that far apart. But at the same time I thought, she's the most generous, kind human being I've ever met, and I need her in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose her. And I even talked to my dad before he passed away, and I said, man, what am I going to do? It was like, we're so... And he goes, oh man, love will find a way. You know, love always finds a way. You'll work it out. And it took 3 years of like... Well, she'd take me to, you know, courses for converts and stuff in Melbourne and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would stand up and like go, that is bullshit. You know, but and this is why, you know, and then sit around and talk to the person afterwards and go, oh, well, she's got a calmness and a peace, and an inner peace that I wanted, you know. And I think I met a young convert who went, man, all that angels and all that shit, man, just park that stuff, and think about what it is you love about her. And what I loved about her was she was selfless and generous and kind, and also it wasn't about her, like, and I really liked that, you know, like.
Well, being a musician, everyone says yes to you. You're a bit selfish, and you've got a big fat ego.
Well, yeah, and it becomes a really lonely, dumb, selfish place to be.
Yeah, so
It's
you wanted to inhabit what she was.
I
feeling.
wanted what she had.
So she had.
Yeah. Nice.
So you converted to Islam.
Yeah.
How much of a culture shock was that?
I mean, that's the thing. I think Islam is you pray anywhere as long as it's like you've got a prayer rug and you can, you know, as long as you've got a clean place. Yeah, and a compass. Yeah. Or an iPhone.
Oh yeah.
Which tells you. But I loved the fact that there was there's no hierarchy between the person that's praying and Allah and the universe, you know. It's just like you, boom. And I'm a convert, so I don't think I'll ever see it like someone who was born into it. And there are parts of it where I go, well, yeah, I don't know about angels. I can't vibe with that idea, but I can vibe with the idea that it's not all about me.
Yeah.
And that I'm just living with borrowed energy, and then I got to give it back when I pass away.
Yeah.
And while I'm here, if everyone's a manifestation of that same energy, I should probably be kind and generous to people, because that's being kind and generous to myself.
I believe that if you've got any money on you, you give it to anyone who needs it.
And why do you feel better about it afterwards? It's really interesting. Like Dana, Dana dragged me down to Flinders Street Station in Melbourne to feed the homeless once, and this is early on when we were together, and I was actually shitting my pants because I was like, I always like sort of walked. I mean, basically, I was very insular, and I know we did that, and then I found out it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And also, I slept like a baby for the first time in years, because I was in the flow of the universe, you know, like I was doing the right thing. Because by looking after other people, you are looking after yourself, you know.
You're kind of giving up the ghost and unmasking.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
Yeah. And also taking in the world as it is rather than as you want it to be.
How has it changed you with your music? Because I want to go into your album, your latest album, because you seem more vulnerable, more open.
Yeah.
Obviously, your mother recently passed away.
Yeah.
And you're Muslim? Is that what you call you?
I'm Muslim.
Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how has it affected your music? I can hear it. I can hear how your heart's hurting.
Yeah.
What's that song? Love is Forever?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I watched it last night and cried because I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the vulnerabilities that you've had for your solo album, which is just, it's not Shihad, it's John Toogood.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? It's like I needed music after the personal carnage we went through as a family during COVID. And I know I've met so many people that have had stories like this. But when my mum finally was passing away, I was in lockdown in Melbourne, and she was dying in Wellington, so I couldn't get back to her. And because I was the youngest of three, and Dana and I, when my father passed away like 12 years prior, we took mum on because she was lost, and we looked after her, and she felt safe with us. And not that she didn't with my older brother and sister. They were very good with her as well, but she gravitated towards us.
Yeah.
And because Dana's just took her in, and so we were really tight, and really together. So it was weird that my brother and sister could be at the bedside with her when she was passing away, but I couldn't be. And then she held on for like 12 days. I know I say 3 days in the, 3 days hanging on in the lyrics in Love Is Forever. She actually held on for 12 days in a coma, and to the point where my brother and sister called me and said, John, you're going to have to tell her to let go. So I'm the one that had to call. My sister held up her phone to her face, and I said, Mum, you've done a great job. We're going to be fine. You can let go, And
Are you crying?
So, oh, totally. It was intense, and it was intense. And all I wanted to do was hold my mum's hand for the last time, for fuck's sake, and it was like...
Did you even get to a funeral?
So basically, my brother and sister went, okay, she's gone after that, and she relaxed after I said that, and she passed away the next day.
Wow.
And they said, okay, we know you're in lockdown, so we'll postpone it for 3 months. We came out of lockdown, and it was like, yeah, cool, we're going to go back. And then 2 days before the memorial in Wellington, Melbourne goes into lockdown again. So I had to watch that on a phone again. So I couldn't even be back for the memorial. I had to watch that, talk to her friends over the phone, and it was like, man, this is brutal. So my brother and sister saved some ashes for me. So when I finally get back to Wellington, I'm driving from Wellington with my mum's ashes down to Island Bay where we grew up, because I'm going to put her in the sea because that's where we put my dad. Yeah. And I just sort of I think what I was surprised by was I actually felt guilty that I wasn't there for her, And
even
that
though
was,
you had no choice.
And there was no way I could do it, but I did. That was my overwhelming thing. It was like, I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you, because she was there for me as a baby. So, man, it was brutal, and it was traumatic, but I, how when you go to a tangi, you get to sit with the body,
you get to heal,
you get to
grieve,
and get to experience. It's the reality of that person has moved to somewhere else.
Yeah,
I didn't have that. It was all very surreal.
But imagine in lockdown with Māori who were dying and they couldn't have their tangi, like. Everyone suffered in lockdown.
Man.
Yeah. It
was mad, yeah. Because you need to be able to be with that person.
Yeah.
To know that, to let your body know that they've gone,
Yeah.
So it was a lot of unresolved shit. And then when I finally was here and I'd done that, the Omicron outbreak happened. And so I was stuck in Wellington with my brother with my sister and my brother-in-law in their apartment. And I had to ring Dana and who was in lockdown in Melbourne. I can't come home, and there's no flights between the countries, so I don't even know when I can come home. So she was like losing her mind looking after these 2 young kids, and she couldn't get any help because no one was allowed to anyone's house. And then on top of that, my brother-in-law gets a really aggressive cancer while I'm living with them. So it works out that I'm actually there to help them through it, but it was hard watching this guy that I'd been calling my elder brother from when I was 12 years old, who for all intents and purposes was my brother, even though he was my brother-in-law, just fade away in front of my eyes while I can't get my home to my wife and kids. He passed away 6 months later. So I was there for... Yeah, so it was brutal.
So grief, mum grief, brother grief, trauma, album.
And then we make this decision as a whānau. It's like, most of your work, John, is in Aotearoa. If we get an MIQ spot and you get back from Melbourne, we're coming back.
Yeah, cool.
We didn't even think about it. It was just like... And then all of a sudden we got an MIQ spot. And it was like, okay... So I finally got a flight back to Melbourne, was in lockdown in MIQ for 2 weeks. We had a week of packing up, 12 years of a life there and 2 young kids, and then we were back in, and then I was in MIQ again for 2 weeks, and then I knew we wanted to live in Tamaki Makaurau because that's where the industry was, and and Dana's got cousins and aunties
Where
that
all
live
your
in
friends
Flatbush. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
ultimately, well, I mean, I love Wellington, but yeah, it's just Melbourne's 5 million people. I'm used to being around that many people,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it needed to be the big smoke.
So, when did you write this album?
So basically,
And it's all about what's been happening in the last 5 years for John Toogood.
literally, it's all about that. I needed music, unlike Shihad, which is form and grand and apocalyptically heavy, and I get to scream at the injustice of the world.
Yeah.
All big, big sweeping fucking statements. This was like, I needed some local music to go, there, it's okay.
Your own healing device,
Totally.
right?
I needed I need to be held. And music has always been there to hold me. But I didn't have an album that I could reach to that described what had just happened to me. So I needed to write that music.
So you wrote it. It's nothing like Shihad.
No, not at all.
Have you healed from writing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yay. So it's all, you're just like, tick that box, let's move on.
Yeah,
let's
man,
move
but
forward.
yet, like I've been playing a song like Love Is Forever, and I'll still like finish it and go, it'll take me back to that feeling, and I will definitely have that lump in my throat.
Yeah.
But it feels good to be sad because I didn't get to process it at the time.
I used to, when my dad died, I used to sing the song I wrote for him when he was dying. Oh man, you do festivals and you're just like, you're not having a good day and you're singing the song about someone you love and you'd be like, oh God, I'm going to go to tune, I'm just going to cry. Always think of my mum pooing on the toilet. Always makes me...
And that pulled you through.
It pulls me through because I'm like, oh, yuck. She's pooing on the toilet.
You know what?
We're back in the room.
I actually like to feel, though. Like,
no.
Why? Because I spend my whole life singing silly songs because I'm, which is my version of stimming, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like, singing songs about bums and poos for my 6-year-old to go ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Like I know you can do that too because I've been around you. But I also know that you write really deep shit and you feel things deeply, and I'm like that, I think. And sometimes you need to fucking feel that shit deeply, and other times you need to get away from that feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm actually enjoying letting myself sit in that discomfort and sit in that feeling of sadness and go, well, that's part of being fucking human, you know, and it's part of growing up.
How's your audience changed? What do you notice them being, gentler and wanting that more gentle side of John Toogood?
Well,
because I've seen you on the stage, you climb things and throw things, and
sure.
And what's the thing when you throw yourself into the crowd?
Stage dive.
Yeah, stage dive.
Yeah, I haven't done that for years.
Yeah, now you sit down with an acoustic guitar and be like, ding, 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 ding.
No. What I'm doing is I'm taking the time to go, well, this song is about this, and this happened to me, and this is why I wrote this song.
So you're talking to people
Absolutely.
about it. Wow, you're basically me now, but...
Yeah, totally.
A little bit funnier.
Except not as funny.
And psycho.
Yeah, not as funny. I'm not quite as funny as you. But yeah, but like I really like it because it's sort of thrilling to me because Shihad I love, and it's like riding a dragon. But it's almost like I'm a master of ceremonies, like I'm almost like a cartoon version of myself, a larger-than-life version of myself, which I love, but it's like a Hollywood blockbuster, it's like I'm going, jump now, move now, swing your arm here, do this, sing that chorus for me, and I love it, but this is like, what's your story? Mm-hmm. This is my story. I get to be a human.
I understand that. Yeah. That's exactly what I do in my shows, and that's also part of that giving.
Yeah, man.
And instead of just taking, you're giving and you're asking people, how do you feel? Why are you here?
Totally.
Are you going to vote to Pāti Māori? Better. I did a gig in Lincoln and went on about Te Pāti Māori, knowing they were all national supporters.
Wicked.
They loved it. They were like, I mean, I would not have shifted anyone's mind frame, but... It was a moment to let them know who I was.
Who you were.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also had no voice. So you're going to tour this album. You're doing like, how many, 25 shows? Yeah,
quite a few shows, but it's like, it's just me and a guitar, Like, I like it. I mean, I have to sing a bit, but yeah, I mean, while I'm feeling this music, I want to play it, and I'm feeling this music, so...
And what will you do after your tour?
I think maybe if I get that out of my system, I might want to pick up the electric guitar and write some riffs.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, like I'm really enjoying. I love the acoustic guitar more than I've ever loved it. It's the instrument I started on, even though it was a nylon string acoustic, and now these dreadnoughts are a steel string guitar.
Yeah.
But I fucking love them, man. It's like it's a band in one instrument. It's the bass, it's the top notes, and it's a great songwriting tool.
Yeah. It is.
It really is. And I'm in love with that instrument like I've never been in love with it, and I was always in love with it. And there's something quite beautiful about it. So I'm writing away still now,
cool.
and but if I feel like rocking,
You'll rock.
I'll rock.
Rock
yeah,
out with you.
I still like my Fender Telecasters. Yeah, they were awesome.
Okay, we're going to be silly now.
You cool.
I want to know what your worst ever gig was and your best ever gig was.
A worst ever gig was probably supporting Fu Manchu, who were like a stoner rock band from America in Sweden, and we just got a new guitar tech and hadn't checked to see if that guitar tech knew how to be a guitar tech, and so my guitar went out of tune in the first song. I was waiting on stage in front of a packed rock audience, going, "Where's the guitar?" Not thinking, and I went backstage to see this guy. He had my guitar on a guitar stand and he was hitting it with a drumstick.
With the fludge?
Just trying to, and then looking at this tuner on the floor, and he hadn't even plugged it in, and I was like, I'm fucked here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally fucked. And what I did was I grabbed my guitar, walked through the crowd while my band was still on stage, and went to sleep in the bus. And yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I tuned my guitar and went on stage and played.
Nah. I just went, this is the most embarrassing shit I've ever done.
So you just stopped the gig?
I'm out.
What did old Tommy Larkin?
They fucking hated me. My bandmates hated me for not getting my shit together and taking responsibility for the tuning of my own guitar. But I was like, no, fuck, well, I'm too busy, stage diving and...
It's a diva move,
yeah, total
John.
diva move. And it was really bad behaviour on my part. I've never done that again.
Okay, worst gig?
That was the worst
best gig.
Best gig's probably supporting AC/DC at Western Springs.
Cool.
Just because it was like 60,000 people, which is like basically what? Fucking Palmerston North. It's like a small city, It's like a small city, but they're all in love with rock and roll.
Oh,
and
they would
that's
have
what I
loved
do.
you guys.
And it was like hearing that many people sing the chorus to Run, and then going,
do you know what the time is?
Loved it. I was basically felt like I was in the centre of the universe, so I was loving that shit.
I'm so glad you're a Muslim now.
I was loving that shit. And then I got to towel down and then watch my favourite rock band play a gig.
Towel down. Explain toweling down for our audience.
Basically, you're covered in sweat from head to toe, and it's like you've literally just had a shower with all your clothes on. It's like you've had a sauna.
Yeah.
So you had a sauna with your clothes on.
And you're sweating in all the bits and bobs, eh?
It's filthy. And your eyes are bright red, and you've got bleeding lip from misjudging where the microphone ends and you end, and
yeah.
It's like, but it feels great.
Okay, ever taken home a groupie?
You know what? I think this is lucky for me. This is lucky for me.
Yeah.
I always found it really unappealing if someone liked me for being in a band.
Yeah.
So that was like, I always liked the chicks that hated fucking my band.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to make you fucking love me. I'm going to make you love me. And that was always the turn on.
Well, because Shihad wouldn't be done as, what?
No, well, actually...
Cup of tea music?
She didn't know... Well, I loved her because she didn't know who the fuck I was. So that was extremely exciting to me. It's like, great. We just like each other, I find that attractive. But it turns out she was a total bogan from... she's into System of a Down and all this metal shit.
System of a Down.
Yeah, she loves that band. Yeah.
Oh, lucky he lives in New Zealand now. Favourite song you've ever written?
I really like the first song on the new record called Lost in My Hometown, which is really really nice, man. It's like I just got lucky with a few chords, and it was like, and it was literally about going for big long walks while I was helping my sister looking after my brother-in-law and literally walking over from the airport back to Island Bay over the Kilburnie Hills and getting lost and going, I grew up here now. How do I get lost in my
Or a
hometown?
song about it.
Yeah, but it wasn't about. It's not about that. It's about me on those big long walks going, man, my childhood here was weird, and what happened to me as a teenager was weird, but then that sort of made me who I am, and yeah, it just made me looking back, like, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I just had 2 more questions for you.
Yeah, man.
And then you can say whatever you want to say to finish it off. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Well, love's a big word though, isn't it? Aye.
Yeah.
I think 12 years on from meeting Dana, our love is a different thing than when we first met each other. And it's actually deeper and more interesting, and I actually find it way more interesting. And I love her, I really love her. But that initial rush of going, whoa, which is physical as well, and it's like, even though I fell in love with her because she was beautiful on the inside, and she's my mate, Do I believe it? Well, I definitely, my body was going, I've got to have children with this person.
Wow.
Straight away. Yeah, so, and that hadn't happened to me before. So, yeah, maybe.
Cool. Well, the next question is, do you believe in soulmates?
Do I believe in soulmates? Yeah, I suppose so. But I also believe that, and I just like humans, I really like them. And that's probably why I get so fucking antsy and write these heavy records and shit, because I just keep on getting disappointed by people, and I've got this really, and maybe it's the being brought up by working class parents, I fucking hate seeing injustice. I fucking hate when people with power exploit people with no power. I fucking hate that. So that's why I keep on making angry music. And
But your last record's not angry. The one that you've got out now.
No, it's not. But it's very it's very local, and it's very personal.
It's personal.
Oh yeah, it's personal. But yeah, I think. But I genuinely like humans, and I think and actually going around playing this stuff, I'm meeting a lot of people, maybe that I don't agree with politically or blah blah blah, but having a massive talk afterwards about, oh fuck, I lost my brother, and that when that happened, and fuck, that song talks to me, and it's good, like having those things, and realizing you're not alone in that shit. Yeah, soulmates. Yeah, I mean, I do believe in soulmates, but at the same time, I believe that, yeah, there's so many great humans out there, it's like,
Kia ora, John!
Kia ora, that was fun.
Kia ora.
Yeah, it was cool.
I love it.